This is Kerrigan & Company. Did you know that more than 90% of cyber attacks can be prevented? Focus Technology helps organizations create a cybersecurity framework to minimize your risk of being attacked. Let Focus Technology's certified team conduct an assessment to determine where the gaps are in your organization, no matter how big or small your company is. Utilizing the industry's best tools, Focus Technology's security operations team will monitor and stop bad actors before it's too late. Contact Focus Technology today at FocusTSI.com and secure your company's most valuable assets. That's FocusTSI.com. A&B Burger in Beverly and A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston are redefining guest expectations of a casual restaurant. Both A&B restaurant locations are focused on hospitality, creative menus, and delicious food and drinks. Now, I've been to both restaurants many times and loved everything I've tried. Get to A&B Burger on Cabot Street in Beverly or head across the street from our studio at the TD Garden to A&B Kitchen and Bar in Boston today and experience the A&B difference yourself. I promise you're going to love it. Hey everybody, it's Kim Kerrigan. My co-host today has turned a childhood hobby into a full-blown successful career. This is Kerrigan & Company.
Kerrigan & Company is here for you. Yes, Kerrigan & Company is here for you.
Welcome everybody to Kerrigan & Company. It's so great to have you with us today. Presented, of course, by A&B Burger. If you're down here by the Garden, you're up in Beverly, or you're overseeing a game at Fenway Park, be sure you check them out. They have 3 locations, great burgers. I am really excited about my co-host today. He has taken what was, I think, a childhood dream, kind of got away from it, and then turned it into an unbelievable career. I'm talking about Chris Costa, who is the owner of Card Vault. Nice to see you.
Hi, Kim.
So, I've thought about that. I mean, you grow up as a kid, you're looking at cards, you think this is so cool, whatever. Then you kind of get out of it, you become a teenager, you go to college, and then you circle back and now have made this unbelievable, successful career.
It's been a crazy journey. It has absolutely been a crazy journey. As you said, collected pretty much my whole life up until end of high school. I can remember, sitting in the back seat of my mother's car, ripping packs, going to the local card shop, and then came back to it 6-7 years ago. I had some friends that had kind of never fallen out of it, and here we are. Fast forward 5, 6, 7 years, and we've got 3 brick and mortar locations. We have a large online business and our flagship store right here at TD Garden. Yeah, absolutely. So we want to make sure people understand that. It's here at TD Garden, but then you've got one down at Patriot Place and then one at Foxwoods. Yeah, TD Garden, right at the entrance to North Station, Patriot Place right outside of Gillette Stadium, and then Foxwoods Casino right next to the DraftKings Sportsbook, and plans for more. So we're actively working on our 4th and 5th locations as we speak, and we have plans to go 30, 40, 50, 100 stores deep. So it's been a crazy journey.
Chris, it's amazing to me that there's enough people out there who are so interested in this. I was talking to my executive producer about this, and he was saying, I sort of thought that these went out of fashion because as a kid, he was in that space and then no longer. But this is something. People spend big money on trading cards. Yeah,
the sports card and trading card space is a super interesting and unique one. It's had a very interesting path over the last 20, 30 years. So back in the 80s, even the 70s, trading cards were all the rage, much like they are today, right? There was a huge boom in sports cards. There was a sports card shop on every corner, Upper Deck, Topps, Fleer, Pinnacle. They were making millions and millions of cards, and that really was the problem. They were making too many cards, and people thought that there was rarity in these items when there really wasn't. Great example is the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. That was the card people were chasing in the late 80s, and when people were finding it, they thought they had a valuable card. They thought they had a rare card, and in reality, there were millions of copies. The printing presses were just left on overnight, pretty much. So the market took a hit, more or less crashed, because values started to kind of more realign with the cost of the product, and shops went out of business. People's collections went down in value, and kind of went into hibernation, so to speak, for almost 10, 12, 15 years. And what happened was the concept of grading came about. So grading cards for their condition, much like people do with coins or gems. And by grading them, you now started to create rarity again. So you take that 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, and instead of 1 million copies, now there's only a couple thousand that are gem mint condition, right? So now all of a sudden you start to have rarity in the condition of the card. And then the manufacturers like Topps and Panini and Upper Deck started to create additional rarity with serializing the cards, creating versions of cards that were rarer than others, adding pieces of the jersey and memorabilia into the cards in the manufacturing process, and most importantly, starting to sign autograph deals with these athletes and starting to include autographs into the product. So the market's changed drastically. Those factors have kind of contributed to this reemergence over the last, call it 10 years. And then sports in general, right? If you think about sports as a kind of a part of our culture and athletes and their position in our popular culture, these collectibles have become more and more desirable across a broader user base. So
it's interesting that these manufacturers are the ones who can make the exclusivity.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is in their hands.
Yeah.
You know, they make those determinations. I have heard you talk about this before, but we've just got, I know that people love this kind of thing, and that's to talk about the value of these cards. And you talked about, evaluating them.
Yep.
So give me a sense of, I mean, obviously a pristine card is one that somebody never took out of the package and they put it in a drawer and it's not been touched by, human hands and the air. But what's a good card versus a not so good card?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the coolest things about this industry and what we do as a business at Card Vault. There's a price point for everybody.
Okay.
So you can come into our shop and you can find 50-cent, $5, $20 cards. You can find $500 cards. You can find $250,000 cards. Yeah. There's a price point for everybody. If you think about the industry as a whole, some of the more eye-popping values and figures that are out there. If you have a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, which is one of the most iconic cards ever made.
How many of them are there? Do you know?
So in gem mint condition, there's 3 in existence. So in a PSA 10 grade, which is the highest grade more or less that you can achieve from a condition perspective, there's 3 1952 Topps Mickey Mantles out there. Those cards, if one were to hit auction right now, are estimated to go between $30 and $35 million.
I mean, it's...
Yeah.
And do you know who owns those 3?
Yeah, all 3 are accounted for. They're all in personal collections.
Yes.
One of them is owned by a lawyer who bought it back in the 90s for $181,000. One of the other owners is owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and there's another one floating out there. So yeah, it's a crazy thing to think of, right? A piece of cardboard being worth that much money, but they're pieces of history. They've survived. The mantle in particular is an interesting one because during that junk wax era, that era where the market crashed, and even before that, there were so many 1952 Topps Mickey Mantles. People were putting them in their bike spokes. There was a shipment of them dumped in the Hudson River because there were so many. So these cards have basically now survived in perfect condition for almost 100 years. Yeah. And there's other examples of super valuable cards. Even more valuable than the mantle is the Honus Wagner. The Honus Wagner T206, a PSA 10, which doesn't exist. If one were to surface, that would be a 9-figure card. That'd be $100+ million card. But an SGC5, which is another version of a grade, just surfaced, and that is going to auction, and estimates are that's going to do between 25 and 40 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who certifies these? How do we know they're real?
Yeah, there's 3 main authentication companies. It's a great question, by the way. Awesome question. 3 main grading companies: PSA, which is the most popular; Beckett, which most people remember because of Beckett magazines back in the day, where people would get their price points before the internet. And then third is SGC. So all 3, those are your 3 main grading companies. You send your card to them. They have an entire team that will observe it, look at it under microscope, and then they'll encapsulate it in a hermetically sealed case, much like they do with coins. And that's much of what you'll see in our stores at each of our locations right now.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so it all started with baseball. Now it's across all different sports. So let's talk about Massachusetts and most specifically Boston sports. So what's the most valuable card out there as it relates to a Boston team?
Great question. It's hard to say, right? Because to your point, it did start with baseball, but it's gone way beyond that. And baseball isn't even the largest market anymore for collectibles. It's probably basketball. Ironically, our team just won the championship. So hard to say what like a Jason Tatum 1-of-1 rookie would do. There are some Ted Williams cards from, the early 1900s that fetch a big number and a high grade. So probably the Ted Williams Play Ball, which is an early 1900s Ted Williams card. But for modern cards, I would say the Prism Jason Tatum Black 1-of-1, which when I say black, that's a parallel. So what these manufacturers do now is they create color parallels. So the black is numbered 1-of-1. The gold is out of 10. The blue is out of 99, right? So there's different versions of the card that come in different colors, and those are associated with the rarity of the card. The black is typically always the 1-of-1. So the Tatum Prism Rookie 1-of-1 is probably a $300,000 to $400,000 card at this point.
And is it accounted for?
It is not publicly, but I happen to know where it is.
Do you?
I do, yeah, but it's not publicly accounted for. But yeah, I think Tatum is probably the biggest name in our city right now when it comes to sports, right? It, of course, was Tom Brady.
That was my question next, was Brady.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about Brady, Brady's championship rookie ticket autograph. So his 2000 playoff contenders rookie ticket autograph comes in a championship parallel. It's his rarest rookie card. It's his only on-card rookie card autograph and his only rookie autograph in a Patriots uniform because remember, Tom Brady came into the league as somewhat of a nobody.
Yep.
So there wasn't a lot of desire for his rookie cards, and there wasn't a lot of them made. So his rookie ticket autograph out of playoff contenders in 2000, the championship parallel, and a high grade is $1 million plus card.
And
for sure.
Do we know?
We've got there's several of them out there. So it was serial numbered to 100. So there's 100 copies. There's very few in a high grade. When I say a high grade, like a Beckett 9 or a PSA 9, but a PSA 9 of that card is certainly over $1 million card.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So talk to me about how you get these cards. And I mean, do people literally trade them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we buy, sell, and trade every day. So we do it in our stores, but we also travel the country and go to trade shows.
Okay.
We also put on our own trade shows. So we do a trade show at Fenway Park every year. We do a trade show at Gillette Stadium every year, a trade show at Foxwoods every year, and then several every year here upstairs at Big Night Live at the Boston Garden. But we will travel the country, go to shows, and we will buy, sell, and trade with other dealers. But then, of course, having stores at these flagship locations like the Garden, like Gillette Stadium, we have cards show up at our shops all the time. So a bunch of Brady stuff has walked through the door at our Gillette shop. A bunch of Celtic stuff has walked through the door here at our Garden shop. So we have the opportunity to buy that stuff when it shows up. But then, of course, we are traveling and roaming around the country and looking for cards that we feel like our customer base would appreciate and would want. So that's kind of a mixed bag as far as how we get our stuff.
And when the cards come in, are you paying people for them?
Absolutely.
Or are you trading them for something else?
Both. Yeah, both. So we'll pay cash, but we'll also have customers that come in and they want a particular card. They want a Jaylen Brown rookie. And then, they want to give us a Tom Brady rookie in exchange, and we make the deal and based on values and send people on their way, happy customers.
Might have to still write a little check to
either they're writing a check or we're writing a check. It depends on which way it goes,
So your favorite, did you have a favorite that's come through? Is there one that you just went, whoa?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some incredible pieces that have come through. The one that sticks out is a Tom Brady Contenders rookie autograph that showed up at our Patriot Place location. A customer had it in the binding of a book for 20 plus years. It was sitting behind the cover of a book on their bookshelf. It came in ungraded, uncirculated, and it ended up grading out a PSA 8. So not the most valuable card we've had come in the shop, but certainly one of the coolest stories. A customer just having a card he bought for $20 when it was when Brady was a rookie, and now having it be worth north of $50,000. It was a pretty cool story.
Yeah, that's a really great. Yeah. It's amazing to me that he had it in a book and it still was only an 8.
Yeah,
well, it was flattened. It was
great point. But the manufacturing process back then, even in the early 2000s, isn't close to what it is today, right? Yeah. And when you manufacture things at that high a volume, to have everything come out in mint condition is impossible. So we still see great variance between condition across every product, even when you're just pulling the cards out of the pack. Not everything's cut the same. Centering is probably the biggest condition marker for cards. So you want the borders to all be even, perfect, or you want the card to be cut properly. So centering is never going to be perfect. And even if cards that are manufactured today, there's surface imperfections, corner dings, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Wow. Oh, so how about gum? Is there any gum?
No more gum. There's no more gum.
No.
And unfortunately, I've eaten my fair share of gum out of packs from the 70s and 80s.
Bad gum, too, by the way.
And we get challenged every once in a while. So I've had a couple of sticks of gum out of packs even recently, unfortunately.
Listen, Chris Costa is our guest, my co-host today, and we do Focus Technology Fast 5. I'm going to save that. Okay. We're going to circle back for that at the end of the show, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about things beyond just cards. But this is fun. I'm so glad you're here. We got a great show. It's going to be really fun. We're looking at sports in all different ways. Obviously, we've looked at trading cards. I'm really excited, and I hope you are too. We've got a fresh face on the NASCAR circuit who's going to join us, which will be a lot of fun, and he's a local. And we're also going to talk about some fishing, and I understand you're a fisherman.
I love it. I can't wait. It's going to be a fun show.
All right, terrific. Stay with us, everybody. You're listening to Kerrigan and Company. It's baseball season, so are you headed to Fenway anytime soon? If so, you've got to stop by the newest A&B Burger location at Time Out Market Boston. You can get your favorite burgers at A&B's new quick serve restaurant, which is located at 401 Park Drive. Time Out Market Boston is located in the buzzing Fenway neighborhood, and A&B is the latest and the best restaurant to join this creatively curated dining destination. A trip to Fenway, whether you're headed to a game or maybe you just like the vibe in the area, isn't complete without stopping by A&B Burger at Time Out Market Boston. Head to A&B Burger at Time Out Market Boston's Fenway neighborhood today. You'll be glad you did. Do you know what generative AI is and how your company can ensure employees are more productive? Focus Technology can help you master the use of Microsoft's newest tool, Copilot. This powerful tool can help your team speed up many of their daily tasks by enabling hands-on learning directly with the software. It can summarize long emails, generate drafts of long documents, and search for answers to key questions. Copilot represents a unique opportunity for businesses to accelerate their understanding of what generative AI can deliver for their company. Contact Focus Technology today to learn more at FocusTSI.com and bring your organization into the AI revolution. That's FocusTSI.com. This segment of Kerrigan and Company is brought to you by Lucia Lighting and Design, where people in the know go for the best possible lighting and design experience. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan and Company, presented by A&B Burger. It is great to have you with us. Great to have my co-host with me as well. Chris Costa is here. He's the owner of Card Vault. And if you are looking for great cards, then that is the place to go. It's right here at the Garden. There's two other locations, one down at Foxwoods and then the other at Patriots Place. And Chris, this is a show full of different kinds of angles about sports, right? And I know you're a big sports fan. And this next guest of ours is somebody who grew up here locally in Westboro and has been driving cars apparently since just about the time he was walking, it sounds like
crazy.
To me.
It's so crazy to me.
One of the youngest people on the NASCAR circuit. We're really happy to have Kaz Grala with us today. Great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
You were just here in New England this past weekend up at Loudon. It was your first time to race there. How was that? Kind of in front of a hometown crowd, if you will.
Yeah. No, it was great. That was my first NASCAR Cup Series start there. And it's just about an hour from where I grew up. So by far the closest track that we race at in NASCAR to home. So that was really, really cool to be in front of my home crowd. But what was really cool about it was I have so many memories of going to that track as a little kid and watching the races, camping there, sitting in the grandstands. So it was pretty surreal on the pace laps, driving around, looking up in the crowd at the New England race fans there being in the race. That was a special moment for me.
Oh, no kidding.
It's so cool. Kaz, you're still so young, right? So you mentioned being at the racetrack as a little kid, but when was the first time, or how old were you the first time you had an official pro race?
Well, see, that's the weird thing about racing is there's no like designation of pro like there are in some of the other sports. So, I mean, I probably got paid for a race all the way when I was 11, 12 years old, maybe. But, we're talking maybe $50 was the payout for that day. So, it just kind of grows as you move up the ranks. But really, once you get to the national divisions of NASCAR, which is the Cup Series, that's the top level. Then you've got the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. Those are really your three levels of oval racing that truly pay professionally, where you can make a living there. And my first Truck Series start was when I was 17 years old.
Incredible.
Yeah, and at 18 you won at Daytona.
That's right. Yeah, my very, very first time racing at Daytona, I was 18 years old and 1 month, and you have to be 18 to race there. So it was my first attempt at it. I won the pole for the race and ended up winning that race. So that made me the youngest winner in history at Daytona. Incredible. And that still stands. It'll take someone with a really lucky birthday also wins their first attempt to be able to beat that.
Yeah. So cool. 1 year past legal driving age, and you're racing in the Truck Series. Incredible.
So, Kaz, let's talk about where this all started. I mean, you said, obviously you were up in Loudon when you were a kid, and so you were watching racing. But I read somewhere that you loved go-karts when you were 4. So you started to drive, if you will, then.
Yeah, exactly. I've been racing since I was 4, and that started at F1 Boston, which there was a location in Braintree and in, I believe, East Bridgewater in Massachusetts. So I spent my whole single digits age career racing right there at F1 Boston in Massachusetts. It wasn't until I was 9, almost 10 years old that I switched over to racing ovals. And at that point, I started traveling for racing. But up until then, it had all been local.
Was there a point in your experience, either at F1 or shortly thereafter, where you and your family realized, okay, we've got something here. We're not just a good go-kart racer. Like, there's potentially a career here?
Well, I don't know if my parents ever reached that point. I think along the way, they were probably hoping that I wouldn't want to go down this path at some point. So my dad used to race cars. He didn't race in NASCAR. He's never driven on an oval before, but he raced sports cars. And so he knew the business, he knew the sport and how difficult it can be. And it definitely is one that you're constantly on a roller coaster, because as opposed to a sport where you have 2 teams and you get a 50% chance of winning, this is a sport like some others, like golf, for instance, where you're going to lose way more often than you're going to win. Yep. But you also have this piece of your car in our sport. It's not just about the human performance element. There are a lot of other factors that go into being able to win, being able to compete up front. So my dad knew how taxing of a sport this was. So I think they probably had hoped that eventually I had grown tired of it. But honestly, that just never happened. It was my dream probably from when I was 10 or so years old that I wanted to race in the NASCAR Cup Series. That was my goal, and I've worked towards that ever since. And so far, so good. I've gotten here, but my work is far from done for what I want to accomplish here.
I feel like racing is one of those things that gets in your blood, and you just don't get rid of that. I mean, that just doesn't go away. So you drive a Mustang.
That's right. Yep. Ford Mustang.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And I was watching, and you have definitely been involved in a few accidents on the track. So walk me through what goes through your mind as you start to lose control of the car.
Well, it
besides,
depends.
Oh crap, I'm losing control of the car.
It depends on the situation, but more often than not, if something does go wrong, especially in these Cup Series cars, with the way the way they have so much grip until they don't, you don't have time to think about anything. You don't even have time to think about trying to save the car or save yourself. It's just instinct, and before you even know it, the crash is over and it's happened.
Is there any training around that? Do you guys do any sort of training as far as like crash prevention or regaining control of the car? Or is it literally, hey, you just got to react to the situation at hand?
That is a great question, but there really isn't anything that we do. We do some cognitive training as part of our strength and conditioning work that we do throughout the week. We do mix in cognitive work, which is just good generally for more reasons for us than purely saving the car. But I think for most of us, it really is just instinctual, because I started when I was 4 years old. Most of the other people that I'm racing against also started when they were very young, single digits in age. So like any kid that starts, if it's skateboarding, if it's skiing, when you start that young doing something, it's just wired into your brain. You just kind of have a feel for it. And that's how it is for most of us. And that's not to say we don't slip up and miss it. We absolutely do. But it for the most part, when you watch us, you'd be surprised how many times throughout a lap and throughout a race we are actually saving it. That when there is the one time that it may go wrong, that was probably following hundreds of like micro catches throughout the whole race. Because that really is what we do. We are never gripped into the racetrack. If we are, then we need to be going faster than that. Yeah. So it doesn't look it, but we are absolutely past that limit of slip and flirting with disaster every inch of the track for 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Is your mother okay with that? I'm not your mom, and I'm not really okay with
Kai, I love the fact that you mentioned strength and conditioning, right? Kim, I don't think people realize how physically daunting racing is. Kai, can you give us a little bit of insight into what actually it takes to get through a full race inside of a NASCAR Cup car?
Yeah, it is brutal. And you're right. It is more than you would think, because our cars can be 130, 140 degrees inside during the summer. And as I mentioned, these races are 3.5 hour races on average, sometimes more than that. And inside the car, we're working really hard because our vehicles don't have electronic assists like your car on the road would have. Right. Our brake pedal is just mechanically clamping the brake pads to the brake rotors. So as hard as we can push with our leg is how hard the stopping power of the car will be. There's nothing electronic in between there. And the same goes for the steering wheel. It's all direct. So the force that we're going through in there, in addition to as well, like the actual cornering force, the centrifugal force that we feel is pretty high. So, I mean, it would be like, taking 5-pound weights in your hands and just turning in a steering wheel motion for 3.5 hours in a sauna.
Yeah,
so
I can't even.
Not me.
Yeah.
We lose about 10 pounds of water weight in a race.
I'll bet.
Just the other week, I hit a new personal heart rate max. I think it was 202 or 205 beats per minute.
God.
Oh, my gosh.
And my average was like 160 beats per minute, 3.5 hours.
Kai, take me along with you for the next race. I could use the 10-pound. I could use the 10-pound drop.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so I've got one last question I want to ask you, Kaz, and that's when you're in that car for that long, can you stay that focused? That's a long time to mentally stay focused. Where are you going in your head?
Yeah, I do think that's part of what separates the good drivers from the great drivers, because you absolutely need to. You need to stay that focused, because any little mistake, and I'm not just talking about crashing the car, but even just losing a position or not maximizing a restart, speeding on pit road, any little slip can immediately ruin your day, because the competition level is so high. As soon as you get behind, it's almost impossible to climb your way back up to where you could have finished. So yeah, the good guys, the best guys, they don't break focused one bit. And you're so in the zone, you're not even thinking about anything else. Nothing outside of what you're doing in the moment right now exists to you. That is the level of focus that you need to have in there to be at your best. So I assume it's very similar in many other professional sports. I can't speak to those, but the feeling of our level of focus for that amount of time is somewhat peaceful, but also exhausting when the adrenaline comes down afterwards.
Yeah, you talk about a physical and mental sport. Right?
Crazy.
It's unbelievable. Where's the next race?
The next race for me is going to be the Chicago Street Race next weekend.
Wow, awesome.
Kaz, where's home? Are you still up here in the north? Are you in Charlotte? What's home now, or are you just on the road?
Mostly on the road, but home base is just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. This is kind of like our Nashville for country music artists. This is where all the teams are, all the drivers are. So I'm down here now, but I try to get back up to New England as often as I can still.
Well, listen, New England is cheering for you, and we'll be watching. Best of luck. Stay safe, and do well.
Thank you.
Good luck, Kaz.
All right, Kaz, thanks very much. You're listening to Kerrigan & Company. Longer days that melt into warm summer nights. It's my favorite time of year. You know, I love to spend time on my patio with family and friends, or just curled up in a chair with a good book. However, you can't read or entertain in the dark. That's where my friends at Lucia Lighting and Design come in. Whether you're changing fixtures to enhance the beauty of your property or thinking about safety and security, the experts at Lucia Lighting will help you find the perfect outdoor lighting for you. Get started by scrolling through their website at lucialighting.com and then make an appointment to visit their magnificent showroom located in Lynn, Massachusetts.
If you like rum, you're going to love Rumson's Rum, New England's most award-winning rum brand. Rumson creates distinctive and savory flavor profiles by hand-selecting and marrying the finest barrel-aged Caribbean rums. The spirits are then blended and finished in the New England Rum House. Choose from Rumson's Gold, Spiced, Grand Reserve, or Coffee Rum, which is smooth and sweet with a warm roasted coffee flavor, a hint of vanilla, and a decadent buttery finish. Find Rumson's at liquor stores or ask for it at your favorite restaurant. Learn more at rumsons.com. That's rumsons.com. Rumsons. Life lived, life enjoyed.
This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater. Get your tickets to Frozen, running July 9th through the 28th at nmst.org. Welcome back, everybody, to Kerrigan & Company, presented by A&B Burger. Great to have you with us today, and great to have my co-host with me today as well. Of course, this is Chris Costa. He is the owner of Card Vault down here at TD Garden. There's one at Patriots Place, as well as Foxwoods. If you are in the market for cards, be sure you check it out. Even if you're not in the market, come down and just take a look. It's just so fun. It's such a great place.
We have a lot of fun here. There's a lot of fun.
You are a fisherman.
I am.
Shore. Well, you're Linfield, so you grew up, close to the water.
I did.
Yep. And so there's a big event that's coming up in Gloucester. It's in July. Very exciting. It's called the Bluefin Blowout, and it is presented by Lionwa Auto Group. And joining us right now is the manager of this event, and this is Cidalia Schwartz. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
My executive producer and I ran into Cidalia over at iHeart one day. We were there for a podcasting event, actually. And Dave started talking with Cidalia and found out about this event. We were like, oh my God, this is so cool, because it raises money for Alzheimer's Association. And that's something that's near and dear to Dave's and my heart. And we thought, when the time comes, we got to have you on. You got to talk to us about this and tell us all about it. And now I find out it's much more than just fishing tuna.
It is. It's a really, really big event for a really big and great cause as well.
First off, will you just tell me, how exactly do you raise the money for Alzheimer's?
So that's a really good question. The raising of the money really starts at ground level at our fundraiser, which happens this year on July 15th. And that's when we sell tables, we have auction items live, silent. And it really is, Warren, which is the owner of Lionwa Auto Group, really kind of set the foundation or the tone that he wanted to have at that event. Unlike any other fundraiser, which I'm sure we've all been to, a million of them, no tuxedos, no dry chicken. We have a blast. So you as a fisherman, that energy that's out on the water, that's like what's under the tent. People are so excited to be there, to celebrate, and give back to the cause. But it's just like a fun vibe. So it all starts there. Okay. And then there's obviously a lot of fundraising that goes on throughout the whole tournament. And usually that's a 3-day event. So we do a lot of work under the tent during those days in order to raise for Alzheimer's. And every little bit goes into that fund.
And it's 3 days total of fishing.
Correct. So we welcome the captains in on July 16th this year. That's their welcome. We read them the rules, give them all that stuff. They all start to, look who their challenger is, and
check out the competition.
Sizing everyone up.
They're looking at the boats.
Anyone who doesn't have like a team shirt, they're like,
not worrying about him.
Rookie. But they size up the competition on that day, and then at around 10 o'clock they go out and start to go into where they're going to fish for the event. So then they start weighing in on July 17th and 18th. And at the 18th, at the end of the day, we finish up and we see who won. And
I assume most of the fishing is done off Stellwagen if you're going out of Gloucester and that area in general, but are they staying out at sea or are they coming in each day and going back out?
Some. It depends on the boat. Some do stay out at sea overnight, and some do come back in. They never give us their numbers,
Ever.
But, I don't know. They might be in our backyard. They might be a Stellwagen. Some have fast boats. They go all the way up to Maine. You just never know. They go where the fish are, or at least where they think they
Fishermen's numbers are one of the most closely guarded secret on the planet.
Until you
can get yourself hurt and in trouble trying to poach numbers.
Everyone's there, and you're like, okay, this is the secret.
You got your numbers, and all of a sudden there's 20 other boats. It's like, that's not much more of a secret.
That's so great. Okay, so in the past, what are they pulling out of the water? What are we talking about? How big?
Size?
Yeah.
One of the biggest that we had was over 900 pounds. This is no joke.
That's the size of the table, Kim.
Yeah, it's literally the size of the table.
That's got big outweigh.
It's the size of the table.
Yeah. They're big. They're huge. It's funny because I think everyone's like, it's a fishing tournament, and they think of like maybe a little striper. But when you see these fish being hoisted up by the crane, you're like, this is no joke. This is like, it takes hours to actually get them onto the boat,
which is part of the fun of this whole event,
right?
Because they invite people to come and be where the scales are and whatever, and just see what's being pulled out. Which I know I have done that down on the vineyard during Shark Week, and they bring out the sharks. And it's an amazing thing to see. So I would love to come up to Gloucester and see
You're
this.
invited to. Yeah, the general public is invited to. The fish do start coming in on the 17th at 1. Yep. That's when the first weigh-in starts. Mm-hmm. And then it goes all the way to about 9 o'clock that evening. And then the next day, we open up the scales again, 1 o'clock, and we go until about 4:30ish or so. And then we close it up with the winner.
Strictly bluefin tuna, no other prize fish in the tournament.
No other prize fish.
And then as far as the type of gear being used, are there any limitations? Do you give captains the ability to fish any way, shape, or form that they want? Are there any guidelines around how they're catching the fish?
It has to be on a reel. There's no
rod and reel, no harpooning.
No harpooning on this one.
But no tackle limitations, right? They can go live bait, they can go squid bars, anything they want.
Yeah, and I think that they all kind of choose what they know.
These are things I would never have known to ask. So
well, tuna fishing's a really cool type of fishing because there's so many different ways you can go about it. You mentioned harpooning, right? There are stick boats out there. You'll see boats in harbors in the North Shore in New England that have those long bow masts where fishermen or captains will get out on the front and they'll chase fish down, potentially use a plane to help sight schools of fish. But then you also have trolling for bluefin. Well, you'll have squid bars and you'll see captains put out their outriggers. You'll see boats out there with their outriggers out and try to create kind of the illusion of a school of fish to attract the bluefin. But then you also have live bait fishing where you'll see kites and fly kites up into the air to keep bait looking like they're alive in the water. So it's interesting to see how captains handle different sets of numbers and how they want to fish different areas of the New England coast. Most of my fishing has been down on Cape Cod, and I know that it's a little bit different of a fishery up in the Gloucester area, but very cool, very, very cool event.
Do you have captains who come from lots of different places?
Lots of different places. We have New Hampshire, Maine, Cape Cod. They're all wherever they can get their boat from, they're welcome to come. We have some Florida ones as well that come down. Yeah, they're from all over.
Sure.
And we have a lot of them this year, a ton.
So what's the purse? What do they win?
Jeez, I almost choked on it.
Too much. It's so much money. We almost all fell out of our chairs.
Last year it was over 160,000.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and this year we don't know yet because we have to tally up how many boats are fishing and see how that's all going to work up. But we have 91 captains that are fishing. So you can imagine each boat typically has captain, maybe 4 individuals with them on the boat. So there's a lot of people under the tent, a lot of excitement in it. It's a thing, man. It's just a thing.
Yeah. Well, Gloucester's such a great place to have a summer party, right? So
it's a big party. That's what it is.
I really get the impression it is because there's events throughout the entire thing that are happening under the tent. I would be remiss if I don't ask, what happens to the fish?
So the fish is up to the captain and their crew. They will sometimes sell it. Sometimes they'll keep it. It's really up to them.
Yep.
We don't get into the middle of that. So we just weigh it and we wait for that weight and that's what we do.
Yeah. Now I know that it's closed. So by the time people see this, which will be later today, you're full.
We are full. We were full a week ago until the texts start coming in and all of that stuff. Yeah. But we are full.
Okay. But at this point, it's a matter of, hey, come up and just see the event and see what it's all about, right?
At this point, we have a couple of things that we still need to do to close up the event or to actually launch it. The first is to sell a couple more tables for our fundraiser, which is July 15th. And all these details are on bluefinblowout.com. So that's one. And then, we invite the general public to come down any of the days that we're weighing in fish. We also have a really unique food truck festival that we're hosting this year on the 17th to get the general public out again to see the fish, to give back to the cause, of course, and also to get our merchandise, which people have gone crazy for. Everywhere you go, you see Bluefin Blowout merchandise, and we have such cool stuff this year. So we encourage them to come, just to be a part of the whole thing.
Those weigh-in days have to be such a spectacle and such an opportunity for people to come down, right? Because I don't think people realize what a bluefin tuna actually looks like in person until you see one for the first time. So what are the days that people could come down, around what times, just some guidance around when people could come down and potentially see a giant bluefin tuna that's 5, 6, 7, 800 pounds?
Yeah, July 17th and 18th. So July 17th, anywhere from 1 to 9, and July 18th, anywhere from 1 till about 4.
Okay, fantastic. And Lion Walk, why are they supporting all of this? And give me a sense of why Alzheimer's.
Well, we go way back when it comes to that question. So Drew Hale, which is the founder of the Bluefin Blowout, is actually Warren Waugh's cousin. He is the one that created this tournament in its infancy. And I say that, way back on a newspaper, on a napkin. And then he approached Warren and said, would you help as a presenting sponsor? And Warren said, yes. As we got into it, year one, Warren, as he normally does, says, let's go. We can do this. Make it bigger, because it is a cause that's very near and dear to him, which is Alzheimer's. His wife, Liz, passed on from Alzheimer's. I think we all know somebody that has. It affects a lot of people in many different ways. We have one of our employees that's going through it right now deeply with a wife that's 53 years old. So this is something that's really near and dear to not only Warren, his family, but now the Lion Waugh family. So we stepped up and we've taken it over and been able to give back really fully to the cause.
How much are you guys going to raise?
We have to go for $500,000.
Let's go.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We have to do it. We have to do it.
$500,000.
Yeah,
yes,
we did. We have done that before. I want to do it again. This is a really, really strong year. I believe that we can get there. And but it's funny. It's not those $10,000 checks that come in. It's $1,000. It's $500.
Sure.
It's all of those little increments. So every single little bit counts.
Yeah.
And the fish are running. They're out there.
They're out there. That's
They're out there. They're running.
Starts on July the 15th, runs through the 18th.
Correct.
Gloucester. And I'm sure once you get to Gloucester, you figure out pretty quickly.
Cape Ann Marina.
There you go.
Yep. You'll find it.
Awesome place, too. Good, fun place.
Cidalia, I'm so glad you came to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Best of luck. I know it's going to be great. We'll check back with you, okay? Because we want to find out how it
Sounds
does.
great. Come on down. Everybody come on down.
500K. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go.
This is Kerrigan & Company.
Prepare to let it go at North Shore Music Theater's magical production of Disney's Frozen live on stage at Bill Haney's North Shore Music Theater from July 9th through July 28th. Tickets at nsmt.org.
Summer's a great time of year. Lots of outdoor activities that are tons of fun, but it can also be tough on your skin. Between the sweat, the sunscreen, salt water, and heat, skin takes a beating. And that's why I'm suggesting that you book a free consultation with the team at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Sienna offers the latest technology in skincare. The medically trained staff will help you determine the best treatment for your skin that'll make you feel like $1 million during the summer months and for the whole year. Whether it's a great relaxing facial, Botox injections, or fillers, you'll leave Sienna looking and feeling your best. I should know. I'm a customer. Set up your free consultation today. Go to siennaaesthetics.com. That's siennaaesthetics.com. Tell them Kim sent you. This segment of Kerrigan & Company is brought to you by Sienna Aesthetics Medical Spa. Take years off your face with the very latest technologies at Sienna Aesthetics in Beverly. Well, it's that time of the show that we wrap things up, of course, presented by A&B Burger. Chris Costa has been my co-host today, and we have had this has been a great show.
So much fun.
Yeah, I love it.
A lot of good guests you guys have, I'll say. It's been a good show.
Kaz was really crazy.
Super cool.
Unbelievable, huh?
Crazy profession at such a young age. Such a cool lifestyle. On the road, racing cars, in NASCAR. Oh.
By the way, he's got apparently a very beautiful girlfriend.
I would assume so.
I'm not surprised.
NASCAR driver,
right?
You know? It's a big catch.
You know what's really cool about it is that he's from New England and he is a NASCAR driver. I mean, NASCAR, that's not, I'm from Missouri, and from Missouri on down south, I mean, these are the superstars of the superstars.
Yeah, it's not as popular up here, so we don't realize how big of a sport it is.
Yes.
It is massively popular in the U.S. They have a huge following. We sell a ton of NASCAR cards.
You?
Yeah, so such a cool industry, such a cool profession. Being a NASCAR driver, I mean, that's like a childhood dream. It's so cool.
Yeah, like I said during the interview, I think when that gets in your blood, forget it.
All bets are off.
Forget it. Hey, we do this thing called Focus Technology Fast 5. It's 5 rapid questions, and you need to answer them if at all possible.
Okay.
Focus Technology is your trusted IT partner for cybersecurity, cloud, and managed services. Chris, are you ready?
Let's do it.
What is your most cherished baseball card?
Ooh, 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. We already talked about that.
And you own it?
We have 2 of them here at the shop.
Do you own one?
I will personally, Tom Brady 2000 Bowman Chrome rookie card. That's my personal favorite.
That's awesome. What's your favorite movie?
Ooh, great question. Let's go with Step Brothers. Will Ferrell.
Very good. I love it.
NASCAR. I was thinking Will Ferrell, Talladega Nights, and then Step Brothers hit me.
Favorite radio station besides Kiss 108, which may be a clue to people out there.
All right. Kiss 108. Well, absolutely Kiss 108. Shout out to Billy and Lisa in the morning. But second on my dial is 98.5. I'm a big sports guy, so I'm listening to all the sports shows.
First job you ever had?
I was detailing cars at an auto body in Revere. Shout out Revere.
You're just a sports kind of guy. You're the guy who kind of likes all of that kind of thing. Finally, favorite part of owning a business, what is it?
Building a team. Definitely. The employees that we have, seeing them build a culture together and bringing in new people that kind of fit into that culture, that's been my favorite part.
You have been one of my favorite co-hosts. This has been a lot of fun.
So much fun.
I've enjoyed it so very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Big fan of what you guys are doing. You guys are doing an amazing job. So happy to be here.
Thanks. I'm glad you were here. And thanks for letting us be right here by the Card Vault.
Love it.
We love it. Remember, everybody, the Card Vault, it's here at the North Station. You can also find one down in Foxwoods and at Patriot Place. Be sure that you check it out. Social. Is there social anybody can follow?
At Card Vault US on Instagram. You can also check out our online break operation at Card Vault Breaks on Instagram.
Terrific. Glad all of you could be with us today. Be sure you check this out on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcast. We'll see you again next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to Kerrigan & Company. To find out who will keep me company and be my co-host on the next episode, be sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. Kerrigan & Company is recorded at the Big Night Studios at the TD Garden in Boston. You can view the podcast on YouTube and listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure you tell a friend. The executive producer of Kerrigan & Company is David Thompson. Our engineer is Peter Hurley. And our social media managers are Grace Kerrigan, Colby Thompson, and Riley Thompson. See you next time.